their memory and their legacy in our hearts. Our program tonight will be led by the recitation of the Noble Quran by Brother Azan Rizvi. This will be followed by Salam and Marsiya by Brother Zirak Shah. And finally, we will have a small presentation by Sister Maryam Ali regarding the upcoming Sunday School Arbaeen program. And then our Majlis tonight, inshallah, will be addressed by our esteemed guest scholar, Hujjatul Islam, Shayk Amin Rastani. Before we begin tonight's program, I would like to share some important community announcements. As we've been mentioning in the weekends prior, every Saturday during this Muharram Safar period, Baitul Ulum is hosting a weekly series of ladies' majalis that takes place every Saturday at 11 a.m. These majalis will be recited in English by Khanum Maryam Ali Tahir. Additionally, tomorrow, inshallah, Baitul Ulum will be hosting its 15th annual blood drive from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For those of you who have not yet registered, you are encouraged to do so, in particular the youth. Also, our registration for the Baitul Ulum Quran Academy is now open. The fall semester begins August 15th. The classes for the academy are held on Thursdays and Fridays from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. For any questions regarding this program or for registration, please contact Sayyid Kazim Hussain. And then finally, our registration for the Baitul Ulum Academy Sunday School is also now open for ages 2 to 15. Links to the registration forms are on our website under the Sunday School tab. And for more information, particularly on the Tarbiyah curriculum, please email the administration at sundayschool@baitululm.org. At this time, we will begin our program with a recitation of Surah Al-Fajr. I would like to request our young brother Azan Rizvi to please come forward at this time. Let us welcome him with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي هجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد والثمود الذين جابوا الصخرة بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك سوط عذاب إن ربنا لبالمرصاد فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمان وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهنن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون الثثاء كلا لما وتهبنا الملا هبا جما قل إذا دكت الأرض دكا وجاء ربك والملائكة صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيها الناس نفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عباد وادخلي جنة اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وآله الأطهار
Ahsant, Jazakallah. Azan for his Sayyid and Salamti, for his parents and for his teachers. Let us all recite one loud salawat. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I would now like to request Brother Zirak Shah to please come forward at this time for the recitation of Salam and Marsiya. Let's welcome him with a loud salawat.
कि ये रुक गए सजाद बताया ना गया कह के ये रुक गए सजाद बताया ना गया कौन सा जुर्म है जो शाम में ढाया ना गया कह के ये रुक गए सजाद बताया ना गया तो को जंजीर में जकड़े हुए कैदी के सिवा کو زنجیر میں جکڑے ہوئے قیدی کے سوا کسی بیمار کو کانٹوں پہ چلایا نہ گیا، کسی بیمار کو کانٹوں پہ چلایا نہ گیا۔ دیکھا سیراب ذبیحے کو تو بولے سجاد، دیکھا سیراب ذبیحے کو تو بولے سجاد، میرے بابا کو تو پانی بھی پلایا نہ گیا، میرے بابا کو تو پانی بھی پلایا نہ گیا۔ بھیڑ سے ہاتھی ہنستے ہوئے لوگوں کی وہاں، بھیڑ سے ہاتھی ہنستے ہوئے لوگوں کی وہاں، سر بھی بازار میں عابد سے اٹھایا نہ گیا، سر بھی بازار میں عابد سے اٹھایا نہ گیا، کہہ کے یہ رک گئے سجاد، بتایا نہ گیا۔ باپ کا سر جو ملا سوئی لپٹ کر ایسے، باپ کا سر جو ملا سوئی لپٹ کر ایسے، ماں سے بھی بالی سکینہ کو جگایا نہ گیا، ماں سے بھی بالی سکینہ کو جگایا نہ گیا، کہہ کے یہ رک گئے سجاد، بتایا نہ گیا۔ صلوات و محمد علیہ۔ اللہ اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، اللہ اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، بے پردہ شامیوں میں، بے پردہ شامیوں میں اولاد پیمبر ہے، اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، ندا دے رہا ہے یہ ہنس کر منادی، اے لوگوں گھروں سے نکل آؤ جلدی، سزائیں دو ان کو، یہ باغی ہے باغی، بجتے ہیں شادیانے، بجتے ہیں شادیانے، ہر ہاتھ میں پتھر ہے، اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، بتاتا ہے شمرا کے خود شامیوں کو کہ کاٹا ہے میں نے اسی سے سروں کو، دکھاتا ہے لہرا کہ پھر بیویوں کو ہاتھوں میں اس شقی کے، ہاتھوں میں اس شقی کے ایک خون بھرا خنجر ہے، اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، ہوا ہے اثر اتنا بینائیوں پر، عجب کشمکش میں ہے اصغر کی مادر، ہر ایک نے زبردار کے پاس جا کے رو رو کے پوچھتی ہے، رو رو کے پوچھتی ہے، کیا یہ میرا اصغر ہے، اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، اسیروں پہ کیسی مصیبت بنی ہے، ہر ایک بی بازار میں ڈھونڈتی ہے، سکینہ کہیں بھیڑ میں کھو گئی ہے، محشر سے پہلے برپا بازار میں محشر ہے، اللہ یہ کیسا منظر ہے، قیامت میں کیسی قیامت ہے برپا، تکلم ہے گودی میں असग़र का लाशा अदालत में खालिक की आती है ज़हरा नजरें झुकी हैं सबकी नजरें झुकी हैं सबकी नबियों के लबों पर है अल्लाह अल्लाह ये कैसा मंजर है सलवात मोहम्मद आल
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Brother Zurek, for that heartfelt salam and marsiya. For his sehed and salamti, let's all recite aloud salawat. Ma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, at this time, we will have a small presentation for the Sunday School Arbaeen program. I would now like to request Sister Maryam Ali to please come forward at this time. Let's all welcome her with a loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maryam Ali, and on behalf of Baitul Uloom Sunday School admin and the Arbaeen program team, we would like to invite all of you to attend the Arbaeen and Julus program on Sunday, August 4th at 10 a.m. This program is open to the entire community. Life-size scenes featuring our youth depicting events from Shab Ashur to the return of Medina will be displayed in the Walk of Reflection. Medical and dental mock-ups, packaging of school supplies for the refugees, a model of the Najaf to Karbala walk, story time, and many other Arbaeen-related activities will be held. This year, we're introducing a sensory room open for children who are autistic and or have sensory processing disorders, and will strictly be for that purpose only. Emails have been sent out for registration and participation regarding the event. We also have flyers posted up outside in the foyer and in the coat rooms. We will also have an outdoor julus, which will take place at 10 a.m. inshallah. Please see a snippet of last year's Walk of Reflection.
That is created by the volunteers here, it is unbelievable. When you really see and feel those scenes and the resemblance of what we witnessed, atmosphere.
My thoughts on this entire journey is that this retells this story very beautifully, and I think it has done a great job at portraying and all the actors have done a beautiful job.
This program is open to the community, but we humbly request everyone, including Sunday school families, to please register on the Beit al-Ulum website or on the link that has been emailed so we have an accurate head count. Please help us spread the word. Youth volunteers will be able to earn volunteering hours for the Arbaeen event like last year. If you have any questions, please contact Sister Shafana Musabji or Sister Maryam Tahir. Thank you for your continuous support. Please recite loud salawat.
Brothers and sisters, for those of you who may not have attended this program last year or the years prior, these volunteers do an incredible job. So for Sister Maryam, for all of the volunteers, for the Sunday school children who all participate and invest countless hours in putting on this program, let's all recite a loud salawat for them. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I would now like to recognize our generous sponsors for tonight's program. For the health, safety, and continued blessings for our dear Tahir Mirza and his family, please recite a loud salawat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The sponsoring family has requested that you remember the marhumin of your families as well as the marhumin of their families. In particular, Ahmadi Begum, who we all know as Khalajan, Zahra Begum, Muhammad Habibullah, and Mirza Ali Naqi. Please join me in reciting one Surah Fatiha, 3 times Surah Ikhlas, preceded by a loud salawat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah. As a final reminder for some logistics, I did want to point out that Beit al-Ulum has designated rooms for parents who have young children. In particular, for mothers with young children, we do have a room available upstairs. And for fathers with young children, we have a room available downstairs. The program will be projected, both audio and video, in both of those rooms. If you are interested in utilizing those rooms, please speak to any one of our volunteers. Additionally, I would like to request if all brothers and sisters can, please take a look at their cell phones and make sure that they are either on mute or at the very least on vibrate. Now, before I request Maulana to come forward, I would like to take a moment to properly introduce him. Hujjat al-Islam Shayk Amin Rastani was born and raised in the U.S. In 1999, after receiving his high school diploma, he traveled to the holy city of Qom to pursue Hawza studies. He was able to complete the introductory, intermediate, and advanced levels of the seminary, where he returned to the U.S. in 2017. He is the founder and lead instructor of the Mizan Institute, lecturing and teaching across North America. To find out more information about him and his teachings, please visit the mizaninstitute.org. And with that, I will request the brothers in particular, if they can please stand and welcome Hujjat al-Islam Shayk Amin Rastani to please come to the minbar at this time. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And brothers, if I can request you to please move forward as much as possible. In the event, we have more additional brothers coming as well. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, I thank Allah for this opportunity. Some of you might know about this, but last year I was supposed to come here for a weekend in Muharram Safar, and then I had an issue, I wasn't able to come. Usually it's very hard to make me cancel something. So Maulana Faizi graciously lectured instead of me last year, and he said that you promised to come next year. I said, okay, inshallah, you'll forget, inshallah. And here we are. So inshallah, we started salawat for Maulana Faizi as well. Thank you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah, tonight what I want to discuss in this gathering is just to remind ourselves a little bit about why some of the reasons and wisdoms behind these majalis that we hold. But I want to base it on a few verses of the Quran that our ulama have pointed out. The reason being that I'm not after us having Quranic verses to prove that majalis are necessary so that we can go and discuss and debate and argue with the non-Shia and convince them that what we're doing is right and there's nothing wrong with it. No. I just want us to have a stronger backbone and a more confidence in what we do, because we see that it's in one way or another what we do in these 2 months and 9 days of Muharram and Safar and that in this mourning season, what we do, it falls under the general guidelines of the Quran, inshaAllah. It's not that everything we do as Muslims necessarily will have a particular verse in regards to that exact thing that we do. Lots of the things that we do, lots of the lifestyles that we adopt, rituals that we have, these are going to fall under general categories that the Quran gives us. The Quran gives us the general rules on things, the general guidelines, and it's up to us to now apply those and find examples of those things that the Quran is encouraging us to do. You will have the whole concept of Hajj mentioned in the Quran. Well, are the details of Hajj there? Some details, very general ones are there. You will have Salat and all of these things, fasting, but those are the general concepts. The guidelines, the more detailed guidelines, we'll find through other sources. And so these majalis also, in a way, we can find some verses, according to what our scholars have pointed out, we can find general notions in the Quran that will allow us to understand the wisdoms behind why we do these majalis, hold these majalis. Sometimes the question comes up, well, every year we're remembering Imam Hussein. Okay, we all know the story already, so what's the point of all of this? Well, the same thing you'll find in the Quran itself. The question sometimes comes up, I don't know about you all, but me as a kid growing up, I always had this question of why is Prophet Musa mentioned so much? We get the point. You know, it might have made more sense if Prophet Musa was just mentioned in Surah Baqarah and we move on from that. The thing is though, the Quran, it seems, wants us to have actionable items that we can tell these are the priorities in life. And so if Surah Baqarah is named after the Baqarah because of a very important lesson of submission that Bani Israel didn't have towards Musa, didn't have towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that message is an important one. And so Prophet Musa's story will be repeated as well. Why? Because the message is such an important one. It's not just a box that Allah wants to check on the list and say, okay, so we talked about Musa, let's move on. If I'm not mistaken, the Old Testament is kind of like that. It'll have the books of the prophets and I was going to say the imams, the books of prophets and the kings and so on. Yeah, and it starts from all the way in the beginning, Genesis, this, that, all the creation happened. I don't think there's any mention of creation after book of Genesis. Or is there a mention of, I don't know, Joshua after we're done with the book of prophets or kings, or Sulaiman and Dawood and all of them that are in the book of kings? No, it's mentioned once and it goes on. It's as if the story has been told, so there's no point to repeat it. But when we look in the stories of the Quran, Prophet Musa, Prophet Nuh, Prophet Isa, they are repeated. And so sometimes it's the same story that's repeated. Shaitan, Iblis, our best friend sometimes. He's mentioned again and again. Why? Because Allah knows He's very close to some of us, myself included. Yeah? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to make sure that the message gets across and I actually do something about this message. I incorporate it in my life as well. So we will have this same notion if we bring up this idea, this question of why Muharram every year, why Majalis every year. The same question also applies to the stories of the prophets. Let's see what the Quran says in this regard and see if we can apply that which the Quran says about the stories of the prophets in the Quran to the story of Ashura that is repeated again and again for us. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We have Surah Hud, verse 120. Okay? It says, it gives us a list of 4 things, 4 reasons why the stories of the prophets are mentioned. Why Allah tells the story of the prophets to our prophets. It says, وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ. We tell you the story of all these prophets. Why? 4 reasons. Number 1, مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. In these stories you find that which strengthens your heart, O Rasulullah. Strengthens your heart. Tathbeet of the fu'ad. Tathbeet means to make something steadfast, to make something well grounded so that it doesn't sway, doesn't fall to the side with one blow of the wind. No, it's strong and firm. مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Number 1. So we're going to get into each of these a little bit. وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقِّ. Also in these stories, you will be given a measuring stick. You will see what haqq looks like, so that then you can use this measuring stick for your life. Yes? It's not like, oh, we just want to tell you stories, so you hear the stories and we check the boxes. All right, you learned about Musa, mashallah, let's move on now. No, it's not about that. وَجَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقِّ وَمَوْعِظَةً. There's also maw'idha. Shahid Mutahari has some nice things to say about this maw'idha. Number 3, maw'idha. You have this in Urdu, right? Maw'idha. Yeah? Just change the dha to za. Maw'idha. So there's maw'idha in these stories as well. We want to see if there's also maw'idha in the story of Ashura or not. Okay? وَذِكْرَى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And a reminder for the believers. Alright, so we had 4 things. Strengthening of the heart was the first one. Let's talk about this a little bit. Brothers and sisters, when the Holy Prophet ﷺ comes, they're not going to greet him and receive him with flowers and roses. No, they are going to go against him. They're going to give him a hard time. O Prophet, you're having a hard time? O Prophet, is it not easy to convince these people? Sometimes you might want to give up and so on. Let me tell you about Nuh. Yeah, to strengthen your heart, O Rasulullah. Nuh alayhi salam, we all know, it's that big number that we have in the Quran, 950 years. It says that he was calling his people, and they say only a handful eventually embraced Tawheed. Think about it. If your Maulana spends 950 years and there's only 10 people sitting in the Majlis, right? Will they renew the contract? No comment. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, 950 years it says here now. There are some discussions on this 950, but all in all, it's a long time that he's calling his people. A handful only embrace the faith. Wow. O Rasulullah, they're giving you a hard time. Nuh alayhi salam, they say when he was building the ark, they would beat him up so much, some of his people, that he would faint, he would pass out. It's hard. Yeah? O Rasulullah, it's hard. Let us strengthen your heart. How are you going to strengthen my heart? Through stories of previous prophets. This is just the deal. This is how it is. It's part of the package. Prophet Nuh. O Rasulullah, 950 verses 23. Can you do it? Yes, inshallah. Next example, Prophet Ayub. He suffers for years. He had everything he had, he lost. Everything he had. You all have probably heard the story or read about it, that Shaitan, he said, oh Allah, this Ayub, who is a very good servant of yours, he's a good servant of yours because he drives a Tesla, man. Ayub he's such a good servant of yours because look at his mansion. Look at his gardens and orchards and his wealth and his sons that he has and his children, and so on. That's why he is a loving servant of yours. To be honest with you guys, if I had such a thing too, I'd be very obedient servant of Allah as well. Shaitan said, this is why, according to some of the stories that are out there. And Allah said, alright, well, you can take from him then. Let's see. I'm going to prove you wrong. Long story short, brothers and sisters, it reaches a point where Ayyub loses everything, to the point that he even gets very ill himself, and his wife even leaves him. There's an issue there, and long story. Now, Ayyub suffers this much. Oh Rasulullah, you're suffering as well. Ayyub has nothing for, 7, 8 years, however many years it was. Rasulullah, you're stuck in the Shi'b of Abi Talib, that valley. They sanctioned you. You're besieged. You don't have food. You don't have water. All these things. Well, Ayyub went through this as well. Something similar. Yeah, they say most of the wealth of Bibi Khadija was spent there. Think about it. You have to buy a loaf of bread for $100. That's what sanctions are all about. You have to buy a loaf of bread for $50. It's not worth it, but you have no choice. Anyway, it says here, مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. We tell you the stories, O Rasulullah, and obviously by extension, we are also here the stories of previous prophets, and that strengthens our hearts, right? When you look at Yaqub, what do we learn from Yaqub? The strength of the heart again. This man didn't give up. He didn't lose hope. Yeah, he waits an entire lifetime. Yeah, to the point that when the brothers of Yusuf are coming back from Misr, and they have identified now Yusuf, and they know they're coming back. Yaqub still doesn't know that they found Yusuf, but from afar, Yaqub, what does he say? Inni la ajidu riha Yusuf. I can sense the fragrance of Yusuf. Decades this old man waited. And that promise of Allah was fulfilled. The same promise that was given to Yusuf when they were throwing him in the well. His brothers, this is interesting, the Quran doesn't open it up too much. All it says is that we told Yusuf when they were casting him into the well, we told Yusuf, لَتُنَبِّئَنَّهُمْ بِأَمْرِهِمْ هَذَا. A day will come that you will remind them of what they did. You will inform them of what they did. And it happened. Decades later, it happened. Yaqub waits this long eventually for the promise of Allah to be fulfilled. And it is fulfilled. O Rasulullah, they kicked you out of Mecca, you had to leave all your stuff there, your loved ones, this, that. But Allah has given a promise, yeah? The verse says that Allah is radduka ila ma'ad. One day you will return. And eventually what happened? After all those years, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned to Mecca. And with what honor and dignity and izzah he walked in. He walked in and took it over without even bloodshed, without any war breaking out. Yeah, he did. There were some who got killed, a few who deserved it, but other than that, it was very peaceful. So, brothers and sisters, مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. When it comes to previous prophets' stories and the heart of Rasulullah, can we not extend that now? If the stories of the previous prophets carries lessons in them, they carry messages in them, they carry that which strengthens the heart, then you tell me now, does not the story of Ashura carry within it things that strengthen the heart? Are you kidding me? Is there anyone out there of the lovers of Ahlul Bayt when I say lovers of Ahlul Bayt, that doesn't necessarily mean Shia even. Anyone who has love of Ahlul Bayt and reads the story of Al-Husayn alayhi salam, what do they say? What do they say? They are mind blown at what happened in Karbala. Look at the altruism, look at what happened. So, when I go through hardship in life now, a tragedy befalls me, hardship befalls me, I'm suffering, I'm struggling, we're sometimes quick to look up to Allah and say, oh Allah, why? Like, what's wrong? What have I done to deserve this? Does Allah hate me? What's going on? Well, when we read the story of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the question is, did Allah hate Hussein? Na'udhu billah? No, of course not. But the tragedy still befell him. So all I have to understand is sometimes tragedy comes, and what do I do? If I love Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and I'm reading the story of Hussein, I have learned that, just stay strong, hang in there. Even if death is the end of it, still hang in there. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily a bad person. Let me be strong in this. مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Brothers and sisters, you and I know, when we read the story of Al-Hussein, it gives us strength in the heart. كُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ. The verse talks about the prophets, true, but who is continuing and carrying the banner of Tawheed after the prophets, including our prophet? Of course, we believe the Imam, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhim ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. When I see the patience of Imam Hussein, when I see his courage, his forgiveness to Hur, all of this, it strengthens my heart to do the same. What was the second one? جَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقَّ. In these stories, you will find measuring sticks. You will see haqq in these stories. What does haqq look like? Well, lots of times, haqq looks like the minority. Okay? We'll have this in the Quran. كَم مِّن فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرَةً بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. That they were righteous servants of Allah that said, when they were outnumbered, they would say, how many, there have been cases of small groups of people that have overtaken and defeated big groups of people. In other words, don't lose hope as long as Allah's permission is there. If Allah wants it. If Allah doesn't want it, then Allah doesn't want it. Allah didn't want Imam Hussein to be victorious when it came to the sword on that day of Ashura. Yeah. So they'll look at it and they say he got defeated. But obviously we know that that's not the case in the long run. Haqq shows itself. جَاءَكَ فِي هَذِهِ الْحَقِّ. Karbala, brothers and sisters, Karbala and Ashura, I can't think of a better example of where haqq and batil are like super separate from each other. One side is pure haqq, one side is pure batil. I can't think of anything else other than that. To the point that people who joined the ranks of Imam Hussein, they weren't of the same ideology. You all know this. Was Zuhair necessarily a proper 12er Matami Shia like me and you? No. He wasn't. They'll say that some of these who joined Imam Hussein were Uthmanis, meaning that they believed that Uthman was on the right side of things. Okay, well, then why are you joining Imam Hussein? You don't believe in his imam necessarily. It's not even about imam, man. Like this is clear as day, the last of the 5 Ashabul Kisa. It's not rocket science to figure out that this is haqq, this is batil. Yeah, everyone knows, and Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura made sure there's anyone out there that's not very smart doesn't stain their hands with his blood on accident. No. If you're going to spill my blood, I want to make sure you know what you're doing. To the point in that last moment, they narrate that they say that even when the one who had come to finish Imam Hussein off, that the Imam says, you've come on a very lofty place. لَقَدْ ارْتَقَيْتَ مُرْتَقًا عَظِيمًا. Do you know who I am? And the person says, I know who you are, your father is this, your mother is this. Imam Hussein till the last moment, if he's going to make sure that there are some who can make it like Hur, and he will take their hand, he's going to make sure those who have the potential to go to the lowest of the low have the opportunity to materialize that, to actualize that potential. Brothers and sisters, we got to be careful in this life. This life is no joke here. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a Ayatollah Bahjat the opportunity to become Ayatollah Bahjat, He will give the opportunity to Netanyahu to become Netanyahu. It's all potentiality here. It's our choice what we choose. It's not like, Allah, let the ones who are going to be good, but the bad ones stop them from being bad. No. If Allah's going to stop the bad ones from being bad, then there's no good anymore. Good has meaning when there's bad across it, opposite to it. If we're all forced to be good, it doesn't make sense. Haqq, brothers and sisters, becomes very clear in the stories of previous prophets according to the verse. Haqq also becomes obvious where? In the story of Karbala. And so I look at that. I can tell, I look at Fir'aun. They say Fir'aun, he would dress nicely, you know what I'm saying? They say he would dress nice. Yeah, just because he's dressed nice doesn't mean necessarily that he's somebody good. I learned this from the stories. Even Yazid, they say. All right, now don't hate me for this, but in the stories they say he wasn't too bad looking. My guy wasn't too bad looking, they say. All right, but he is in asfal darakin min al-jahim, for sure, at the lowest pits of hellfire. I learned these things, that because we usually we show the bad guys in a very ugly way, right? In these cartoons and movies and stuff. The bad guys are always ugly, usually. Have you seen Ma'mun in the Imam Rida video? The guy's good looking, man. Ma'mun, the killer of Imam Rida, he's good looking. The killer of his own brother Amin. He killed people for the power, and he got it. What I learned is, okay, so you can also be one of the biggest dhalims and fir'auns of today and you wear a tie and a suit. There are some who still apparently haven't figured this out. And they'll wave the flag of that person. It's very sad. Anyway, there has come to you in this truth. So number 2, truth, measuring sticks, we get them from these. When we sit and we recount the story of Karbala, we're reminded of these things. And you tell me, if they just talk about it once and we forget about it, is the whole point of recounting these stories to just know that this story happened? No, it's for us to move, for us to understand, for us to be able to figure out our lives. Number 3, وَمَوْعِظَةً. In these stories is also maw'idha, it says. Maw'idha. The prophets, when you read about their stories, you're touched by their stories. When Ibrahim alayhi salam, he puts his family there in the middle of the desert, when you read those verses, I forget the wording right now. You can tell it's as if he's doing a semi-masa'ib with Allah. He speaks to Allah and indirectly lets Allah know how heartbroken he is that he has to leave them here. But Allah said that this has to be done, it has to be done. When you read this, it's very touching. It penetrates the heart. It's maw'idha. And this brings me to the difference between maw'idha and hikmah. So I'm going to share with you what Shaykh Mutahiri says in his book. There's a book that he has where he has discussed what Nahjul Balagha is all about. And they've translated it to English, alhamdulillah. Selection from Glimpses of the Nahjul Balagha. Apparently that's the name of it. Anyway, these two are different, brothers and sisters. Hikmah and maw'idha. What are we talking about again? We're talking about those 4 reasons for remembering Ashura. Number 1 was that it strengthens the heart. Number 2 was that you get measuring sticks in it. The haqq, you can tell haqq what haqq looks like and batil looks like. Number 3 was there's maw'idha. Question. Maw'idha, what does it mean? When you preach somebody, when you give them good advice, this is maw'idha. Usually that's what we'll translate it to. But then there's another word, hikmah, wisdom. What's the difference between these 2 words? Because they apparently are different. They have different definitions. The Quran talks about both of them in one verse, so you can tell they have different meanings. There's a verse that says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idatil hasana." Call people to the path of your Lord with hikmah, wisdom, and maw'idha, and preaching, and whatever equivalent you want to use for that word. And I'll get to explaining what that word entails. All right. Are these the same? Mutahari says no, they're not the same. Shaykh Mutahari says they're not the same. Hikmah, he takes it towards knowledge and information, which has to do with what? The intellect. But maw'idha, he takes it more towards the heart. Let me read this excerpt from his book. He says, the difference between hikmah, and then in parentheses it says wisdom, philosophy, these things, and maw'idha, which in parentheses says spiritual and moral advice and admonition, lies in this, that hikmah is for instruction and imparting knowledge, while maw'idha is meant for reminding. Hikmah is a struggle against ignorance. This is very nice, the way he words it, I really like it. He says, hikmah is a struggle against ignorance and jahl, while maw'idha is a struggle against negligence and indifference and jahala. There's a difference between jahl and jahala. We usually use them interchangeably for ignorance. But no, one means negligence actually, another one means ignorance. What is he saying? He's saying sometimes a person, doesn't even have the proper information of something. You're supposed to give them the information, you impart knowledge. This imparting knowledge, you're giving them hikmah. But sometimes, no, the person knows, I'm just making sure that they follow what they know, so I preach to them, I speak to them. We sit down, we have a little conversation. I try to give them some maw'idha. Because they already have the hikmah, they already have the knowledge for things, but I need them to actually get up and moving. So he goes on, he says, hikmah deals with the intellect. Maw'idah appeals to the heart. So, intellect, heart. Hikmah educates. Maw'idah prepares the intellect for employment of its reserves. You see the difference? Hikmah is a lamp. Maw'idah is an eye-opener. You know, sometimes you can't even see the path. Alright, we have to shine a light. Sometimes you shine a light, but the guy got problems, man. He's closing his eyes. You have to open their eyes. Like, hey, take this path here that I've shown the light on. Okay? These two, he says, one is the light, yeah. Knowledge is the light that shows the path, but some people, yeah, once they know there's a light there, they'll close their eyes and they still fall off. And so this is where maw'idah is needed, he says. Hikmah is the language of the intellect. I'll go a little faster, okay? Hikmah is the language of the intellect, while maw'idah is the message for the spirit. Accordingly, the personality of the speaker, see this, plays an essential role in maw'idah, which is not the case with hikmah. Have you noticed? Yeah? There are stories of ulama. I remember reading this, something along the lines of what I'm about to tell you, something to the effect of a person was struggling with a sin once. And he said, I went to one of these great ulama, and I told him, give me some advice, I'm struggling with sin. He looked at him and he said, don't sin anymore. And from that day forward, I never sin anymore, because it was coming from him. Yeah? When an imam says something, for example, when a great alim says something that I know walks the walk, doesn't just talk the talk, it has a different effect on the heart than if a person that is a sinner themselves and tells me not to sin, for example. It doesn't have that same effect. That's what he's saying. He's saying, hikmah, anyone can teach it. Maw'idah sits here. You know, it's funny, I saw one of these celebrity speakers once, in one of these clips, he said, what comes from the heart sits on the heart. Okay, I was like, okay, that's a good statement, yeah. He was making a case for himself. And then he went on to say, and that's why when my lectures have like 10,000 views, you can tell that it's coming from the heart. But you who has only 200 views, or a Shayk Amin who has like 45 views, then it's not coming from the heart. Yeah. Brothers and sisters, like younger guys, it's not about the views. You know that, right? Yeah? It's not about social media necessarily, and how many hits you got and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it goes without saying, obviously. I felt sorry because I was like, really, is this the standard for you? Okay, in hikmah, two minds communicate in an impersonal manner, but in maw'idah, the situation is like the passage of an electric charge that flows from the speaker, who has a higher potential, to the listener. For this reason, it has been said of maw'idah that if it comes from the soul, then it necessarily lights up the heart. Otherwise, it does not go beyond the listener's ears. It is about the quality of maw'idah that is said, the speech which originates from the heart enters another heart, and so on. Otherwise, it's just the tongue and ears. Okay, so hikmah, there's hikmah in the Quran as well. There's information, there's light that shines the path. But there are some, you know what I'm going to call maw'idah? I'm going to call it motivation. That's not a good equivalent. But practically, it brings about movement from us. Change, getting off our backs, yeah? Thinking about securing the akhirah. That's what it entails for us, practically. It motivates us, gets us up to move. Alright, so, in the Quran you will have hikmah. Hikmah is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You have to have hikmah, but you also have to have maw'idah as well. In these stories of the prophets, when you read about them, yeah, you find motivation for yourself to also be a good person. You're like, wow, Ibrahim did all of that. Nuh did all of that. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did all of that. All for me to just be a good Muslim in Chicago? Why not then? All these sacrifices. Alright, well, in the story of Al-Hussein, what happens? Yeah, I'm so upset that I didn't get that phone that I wanted. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna sin this, that. I don't care anymore. Allah this, Allah that. And then I read the story of Hussein. Like Hussein gave everything just so I be a good Muslim, and then over something like this, I want to give up on stuff. Yeah, no. The story of Hussein alayhi salam is a maw'idah itself. It's not just hikmah. It is hikmah, but it is also maw'idah. I was always making this mistake, and I think I've come to this realization. Inshallah, I can have a discussion with Shaykh later about this. In Ziyarah Arbaeen, it says, لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ وَحَيْرَةِ الضَّلَالَةِ. Imam Hussein did what he did so that he can rescue the people and save them from jahala. I would always say, he wanted to get them out of ignorance. But it seems that, no, the people weren't ignorant necessarily. Yeah, there was ignorance as well. But the main problem wasn't jahal, it was jahala. It was negligence, it seems. Just not caring anymore. Letting go. Oh, Bani Umayyah, it reached the point where they thought Bani Umayyah is Ahl Bayt. Because they're the cousins of the Prophet at the end of the day. Yeah, they're all from Quraysh, they're cousins. And so, Muawiyah had convinced people in Sham that we're Ahlul Bayt, they say. And so, Imam Hussein, he's after getting rid of Jahil, but Ziyarah Arbaeen says he wanted to get rid of Jahala. So we need maw'idah for that. Well, Hussein says, I am your maw'idah. What else do you need? Look at everything I did for you, just so Islam can reach you, so you can do your prayer 5 times a day. And then for me, it's like such a headache to do my salat. That was number 3. Number 4, dhikra lil mu'mineen. It is also a reminder for the mu'mineen. And so this one might be a good one for explaining why things are repeated so much in the Quran. Allah wants reminder after reminder after reminder for us. As I said before, He doesn't tell the story to have told the story. He tells the story so that we get up off our backs. We learn from those stories. And that's why He doesn't go into certain details. Allah, sometimes it messes with me, that the fact that Allah doesn't get into certain details. قُلْنَا يَا ذَا الْقَرْنَيْنِ إِنَّ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ مُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a nice story, because it's talking about the one who had 2 horns, Dhul Qarnayn. Like, let's see, who is this Dhul Qarnayn? So you go through the surah, like there's no name mentioned of who is this person with 2 horns. And so then you're like trying to figure out who it is. We'll have some maybe hadith for it. Some people have guessed about it. And eventually you don't know the detail. You're like, oh Allah, this book is a book that says it has all the details I need in it. Yeah, all the details you need for your akhirah. Okay? Not all the details, period. Dhul Qarnayn. But Allah, I want to know who the guy with 2 horns was. Was it really he had 2 horns? Was he had a helmet that had 2 horns, like the Vikings? Not that team that beats you guys usually. The Vikings of Scandinavia, those ones. Yeah? Is it that? Do they have helmets? Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. You're like, I want to know about this though. We're this close to Marvel Comics status. I want to know what this villain or this good guy or bad guy was. Doesn't matter. Irrelevant. Learn about what he did. Learn about what we told him, he told us. That's all I need you to know. Where was this dam of Ya'juj and Ma'juj? That dam that they built, or whatever it was that he built. Where is that? Irrelevant. I'm not going to tell you where it was. Just know that it was there. There was something that they did. This is how they built it. And understand that there was this technology all the way back then of how they built it. But I want to know the details. Don't worry about the details. Allah doesn't tell stories to just tell stories. No. He'll tell stories because of their relevance to us securing our akhirah. That's why He will skip certain details even. And won't tell us those details. And we're all upset about it. Who cares? You don't need it. You'll find out on the other side. Don't worry. Alright? Just be a good person, so that when they come to question you in the grave, the one who's questioning you doesn't have 2 horns that he puts in your eyes, because you can't answer the question of Man Rabbuk. So this is the verse, this was Suratul Hud, verse 120. We have Surah Shura, verse 23 as well. Surah Shura, verse 23, it says, this one's going to be a short one, so I'll go through this one and I'll leave the next one for tomorrow, inshallah. It says, Surah Shura, verse 23, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. That Allah says to the Prophet, O Prophet of Allah, tell them that I don't ask for any ajr and reward and compensation for bringing this message to you and being the Prophet of Allah. Okay. It's interesting because, and some have pointed this out, it's an interesting observation. Some of you might have heard of this. that we have the same exact line that the Quran tells our Prophet ﷺ to say to the people. We have the same exact wording for other prophets as well. Okay? But there's one difference between them. In the story of all these other prophets, it says, قُلْ, O Nuh, tell them, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. I don't ask for any ajr from you all. Period. It ends there. In ajriya illa ala Allah. That my ajr is with Allah. I'm not worried about anything. And it finishes. Here with our Prophet though, the one time that someone of these prophets is asking for something as an ajr is here. The Prophet says, "O people, I don't want any ajr." Nuh didn't want ajr. Ibrahim didn't want ajr. Salih didn't want ajr. Rasulullah says, "I want ajr." What is that ajr? We all know, yeah? What is it? Illa, except one thing. Al-mawaddata fil qurba. I want you to show love to my family. I want you to have love towards my family, my descendants and progeny. That's what I'm after. That's all I want from you. So, this is something that's necessary then. Yes, it's necessary. Because it's my ajr. When something is someone's ajr, you're giving them ujra, you've employed them for something, you're giving them something in return. That's not your haqq anymore, it's their haqq. Yeah? The Prophet says, look, I'm doing something for you all, I'm asking for one thing in return. That means it's his haqq now. I can't be like, you know what, maybe not. No. So it's incumbent upon all that if you respect the Prophet and you love the Prophet, you show love to the progeny as well. Now, what is the best way to show love? One of the best ways to show love is to remember them, to uphold their name, to push their cause forward, push their message forward. That's what these majalis are, inshallah, supposed to do. You see, we have verses of Quran that are giving us these general notions that, yeah, true, the Quran doesn't say, أَقِيمُ الْمَجَالِسَ لِلْحُسَيْنِ عَلَيْهِ السَّلام. Wouldn't it be cool if it said that though, just saying, But it doesn't say that. But it doesn't have to say that. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Why do you hold majalis for Imam Hussein? Well, let me tell you what we do in those majalis. We remember their sacrifices. Yeah? We remember what they did so that I can be a better Muslim. We remember this, we remember that. It's all Quran, it's all Tawheed, it's all Allah. Yeah? We have lectures, we learn about Islam more and more. Because who are we kidding? Outside of Muharram Safar, yeah, you guys, we don't show up too much. Okay? I say this all the time and I get in trouble for it. That if 2 months and 8-9 days we can do what we gotta do, yeah, it shows that the other 10 months also we can do what we gotta do. Build the foundation. This is the foundation. Muharram, inshallah, Safar. According to Imam Khomeini, he said it's Muharram and Safar that have kept Islam alive. The foundation, yeah. So we have these foundations set in Muharram and Safar so that we can build the building throughout the year in the other 10 months. Let's go learn. There's a lot going on out there. Alhamdulillah, there's a lot online now. Yeah. And lots of classes that are held. And so, and especially in this community, I'm aware that you guys do a lot. So build that building. So this mawadda fil qurba really shows itself. Do I need the verse that says وَأَقِيمُوا الْمَجَالِسَ لِلْحُسَيْنِ? No, I don't need that, because there's a general verse. Just like I don't need a verse in the Quran that says, hey, Salat al-Fajr is 2 rak'ah. Why? Because the Quran says, go follow the Prophet. And so I go and ask him, how many rak'ah is Salat al-Fajr? And he says, 2 rak'ah. I follow him. Oh, but the Quran didn't say it. It's okay. In general, it has given me guidelines, and I get the details from where I'm supposed to get them from, inshallah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
I don't know what time I started, so tell me how much time I have left. A few more minutes. So let's wrap this one up actually. This last verse of the Quran, okay? I hope you didn't do takalluf on behalf of 500 other people. Surah Al-Hajj verse 32, because I don't want to leave it for tomorrow night. This will be short inshallah as well. I'll go through it very quickly. ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. It says, whoever, now let's say ta'zim, to honor, to magnify even, to make a big deal out of something, to give importance to something. This is what ta'zeem is, right? It says whoever does such a thing when it comes to the sacraments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sacraments of Allah, whoever, yes, gives importance to them, makes a big deal out of them, magnifies them, this is part of the taqwa of the hearts. You want to have taqwa? Now, O Quran, give me some examples of sha'airullah, the sacraments of Allah. The Quran says, yeah, I'll tell you. The Kaaba, for example, yeah, for sure. The Kaaba has the most important, highest sanctity in Islam. To the point that Al-Hussein alayhi salam, what did he say? He said, I'm going to leave Mecca, I'm going to leave the Kaaba. Why? Because if a fight breaks out here and my blood is spilled here, I have compromised the sanctity of the Kaaba. I am here for the Kaaba. The Kaaba is not here to serve me. Versus Abdullah bin Zubayr, who did the exact opposite. Abdullah bin Zubayr, you've seen in that video, that movie, Mukhtar Nameh, if those of you have seen it maybe. Abdullah bin Zubayr, another contestant to the throne of Khilafat during Imam Hussein's time and Yazid's time, he was also someone that Yazid said has to give bay'ah. He said, I'm not going to give you bay'ah, but I'm going to go, and he sought refuge in the Kaaba. Well, guess what happened? You think Yazid cares about the Kaaba? Although they say he died before a little bit before this happened, but he sent an army and they destroyed the Kaaba to get their hands on Abdullah bin Zubayr and eventually killed him. They don't care about the Kaaba. Imam Hussein knows this. He says the sanctity of the Kaaba is at the peak of that, at the top of the list, and so I will leave so that its sanctity is not compromised. Okay. This Masjid al-Haram, the Kaaba, these are of sha'airullah. What else? The Quran talks about Safa and Marwa min sha'airillah. 2 hills, yeah, that you go to and fro for the sa'i. Okay. These are all symbolic, obviously, but it says min sha'airillah, but it's just 2 hills. Allah says it's associated with me though. It's associated and a symbol of obedience and submission. Ibrahim goes and drops them off, and according to some accounts, he's not even allowed to get off of his horse or camel, whatever it was he was riding, to at least bid them farewell. This was his test. He's supposed to put Hajar and Ismail there and go back without even dismounting, you know? So so she's stuck there, Hajar, and she goes and comes, and what happened eventually? The stream of Zamzam comes out, and yeah, we all know the story. Okay. But it's sha'airullah, associated with Allah, so it's going to be one of those sacraments of Allah. What else? Animals. Did you know? وَالْبُدْنَ جَعَلْنَاهَا مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ. Al-Budna. These animals, so for us, we don't take our animals with us when we go for Hajj, right? To sacrifice them in Mina. We don't do that. But those who are living there, when they want to go, they take their animal with them. This animal that shall be sacrificed in Mina, this is a sacred animal now. They're supposed to mark it some way, in one way or another, so that people know this is not your normal sheep. This one is to be sacrificed in Mina. All of a sudden it becomes sacred to the point that it says, well, Budna, this camel that you've marked, is min sha'airillah. Now it has a label of Allah on it. It's a sacred, associated with Allah. You know, it's kind of like, I use this example. Back in our day, there was this thing, Payless shoes. I think we still have it. Yeah, I would buy shoes from there when I was a kid, and I would get made fun of in school. Because you were supposed to wear Nikes in school. And those ones. And remember there was Reebok and Fila. I don't even know if these kids know these things. Alright, anyway. That same shoe, that same Payless shoe, that is not cool to wear, if you put a logo on it, all of a sudden, it becomes priceless. Or the price goes up. Not priceless, but the price goes up. Right? This animal, is a normal animal, but once it has the label of Allah and Hajj on it, becomes. Alright, these are sha'airullah. Now, I want to get a little poetic here now, because this is not from me. This is from what I'm going to say is from Shaykh Shushtari, Shaykh Ja'far Shushtari, who has a very nice book on Imam Hussein. He says, look, if Masjid al-Haram, which is just stones, is one of the sha'air, then the shrine of Imam Hussein that has Imam Hussein in it, how great is that? How can a few stones that are the Kaaba, that Imam Ali Nahj al-Balagha talks about this, can be of sha'airullah because of the spirit and the association it has? And then Imam Hussein, the shrine of Imam Hussein is not sha'air. Obviously it's sha'air. So if I am magnifying the story, it's sha'air. What else? If Safa and Marwa are sha'air, these two hills, well, eventually what happened? Eventually Zamzam came, Ismail drank, Hajar drank. Well, guess what? The Tall Zainabiyya, that hill, they say that she went, Zainab alayhi salam, to see the maqtal of Imam Hussein, and coming and going between the tents and there or there, from there to the maqtal. This is not sha'airullah. If in Mina, you know where I'm going here, right? As we make our way into our masajid. If in Mina, brothers and sisters, the budn and the animal that is to be sacrificed is now of sha'airullah, what if an imam is sacrificed? Is it not sha'airullah? Whoever magnifies this, makes a big deal out of this, gives it importance. And so this is why Shaykh Ja'far Shushtari, he says, Imam Hussein has performed the Hajj truly in Karbala, not symbolic Hajj. With, of course, never taking away from the, of course, value of Hajj, obviously. But the real non-symbolic Hajj, Imam Hussein has. So, if that's the case, then Hussein alayhi salam, just like the Hajj, which is sha'airullah, in a sense one can say is also sha'airullah, and this verse will apply. The verse that says whoever, yes, gives importance, does something to uphold, establishes it, it's min taqwal qulub, insha'Allah. And so, brothers and sisters, all these years that we spend with Hussein alayhi salam, there's a reason for it. It's because of these things. For us, for our children, Islam would not have survived if Imam Hussein had given his hand in bay'ah to Yazid, but it came at a price. It came at a price. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Brothers and sisters, so many hearts have been broken in Karbala. And I was thinking about this today, that even Imam Hussein's heart, as he takes Ali al-Akbar or watches the youth of Bani Hashim take the pieces of the body of Ali al-Akbar back to the tents, his heart is broken. His heart is broken when he comes over the body of Ali and puts his cheek to the cheek of Ali, and they start mocking him and laughing at him and clapping their hands. His heart was broken there. His heart's broken when Qasim is digging his heels into the ground in pain and suffering. And Imam Hussein says, it hurts me, it kills me that you call for help from your uncle, but I can't help you. The heart of Hussein is broken. When Ali al-Asghar, the purest blood this earth will ever experience, is spilled, the heart of Hussein is broken. But then we talk about Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, that not only was Imam Hussein's heart breaking when these things were happening, obviously Hussein is crying for Ali, crying for Al-Asghar, crying for Qasim, but he's not crying for himself. His heart is not breaking for himself, Hussein. But there's Ali, his name is As-Sajjad, in the tents, very, very ill, and his heart breaks for Ali and Al-Akbar, Qasim and all of that. At the same time, his heart is also breaking for Hussein. Something that Hussein wasn't experiencing, the breaking of his heart for himself, of course that's not going to happen. And so these hearts are broken, lots of hearts are broken. It reaches a point where Imam Hussein, they say that he calls out, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Everyone is gone. Is there anyone to help us anymore? They say as Sajjad comes out from the tent, ill, thirsty. When we get a little sick, we need everyone to take care of us. We have to lie down. He comes out dragging his sword. Oh Father, let me go. No, you go back into the tent. Let your heart be broken more. It's as if there's a lot more that Karbala has to do to you. Oh Sajjad. Sajjad goes back into the tent, but I want to talk about one moment. I don't know why they did what they did. You killed Hussein, no problem. You behead Hussein, no problem. Why is it that after all was said and done, they say that Umar ibn Sa'd called out, مَنْ يَنْتَدِبُ الْحُسَيْنِ? Who out there is ready to drag their horses over Al-Hussein's body? 10 of the worst called out, we will do it. They changed their horseshoes of their horses to new ones so that they can do optimal damage to the body of Hussein. as they trampled the body of Hussein, you can imagine it's as if they are crushing the heart of Sajjad alayhi salam. As they trampled the body of Hussein, some of our scholars have said this body was making noises and it was being spread out and flattened on the sands of Karbala. And so they went to Ubaidullah bin Ziyad later, these ones, and they said, "Oh Ubaidullah, fill our bags with gold and silver. What have you done?" نَحْنُ رَضَضْنَا الصَّادْرَ بَعْدَ الظَّهْرِ, we're the ones who also crushed the chest after we had crushed the back of Hussein. Well, why were you crushing the back of Hussein? Oh, you don't know. We turned his body over when we wanted to behead him, and we took his head from behind. And so when we trampled his body, the back got crushed, but we made sure رَضَضْنَا الصَّادْرَ بَعْدَ الظَّهْرِ, we crushed the chest as well as they crushed the chest of Hussein. Ya Allah, the heart of Sajjad is crushed as well. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Al-Ali al-Azim, wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. ماتم الحسين يا حسين يا حسين.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا. مجمع ہے کوفیوں کا، میرے چلنے کی جا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا. سجاد تیری حالت دیکھی نہیں جاتی ہے، بے پردہ مجھے دیکھے یہ بات رلاتی ہے، سجاد تیری طرح کانٹوں پہ چلا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میرے سر سے آدھا نے چھنی چادر، بلوے میں نبی زادی پھروائی گئی در در، مل جائے ردا مجھ کو اور میری دعا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد چلوں کیسے لاکھوں ہے تماشائی، یاد آتا ہے رہ رہ کے عباس میرا بھائی، فریاد کروں کس سے اب تیرے سوا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد تیری حالت دیکھی نہیں جاتی ہے، بے پردہ مجھے دیکھے یہ بات رلاتی ہے، سجاد تیری طرح کانٹوں پہ چلا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا معلوم ہے ادا کو غازی کی بہن ہوں میں، بے دست ہے وہ غازی پابند رسن ہوں میں، یاد آئی وفا اس کی جب پاس رہا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میرے دل کو یہ درد ستاتا ہے، سر غازی کا نیزے سے جب خاک پہ آتا ہے، سر میرا کھلا دیکھے غم اس سے بڑا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا جاتا ہے سوئے زندہ اب کنبہ محمد کا، رسی میں بندھے قیدی کانٹوں سے بھرا رستہ، امت نے ستم ڈھائے قسمت سے گلا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد چلوں کیسے لاکھوں ہے تماشائی، یاد آتا ہے رہ رہ کے عباس میرا بھائی، فریاد کروں کس سے اب تیرے سوا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد تیری حالت دیکھی نہیں جاتی ہے. بے پردہ مجھے دیکھے یہ بات رلاتی ہے. سجاد تیری طرح کانٹوں پہ چلا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا جاتا ہے سوئے زیدہ اب کنبہ محمد کا. رسی میں بندھے قیدی کانٹوں سے بھرا رستا. امت نے ستم ڈھائے قسمت سے گلا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. بازار جفا یا حسین 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 یا حسین. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. ایک پھول ہے جس کو کانٹوں پر ایک پھول ہے جس کو کانٹوں پر دن رات چلایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عباس کی غیرت سے اکثر عابد کی اسیری پوچھتی ہے. عباس کی غیرت سے اکثر عابد کی اسیری پوچھتی ہے. کیا 4 برس کی بہنا کو کیا 4 برس کی بہنا کو زندہ میں سلایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے. سادات کے خیمے جلتے ہیں شولوں میں گھری ہے آل نبی. سادات کے خیمے جلتے ہیں شولوں میں گھری ہے آل نبی. پھر آج نبی کی بیٹی پر پھر آج نبی کی بیٹی پر دروازہ گرایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا رہ رہ کے شہیدی دیکھتے ہیں نیزے سے سکینہ کی جانب رہ رہ کے شہیدی دیکھتے ہیں نیزے سے سکینہ کی جانب لگتا ہے کہ پوچھتے آقا سے لگتا ہے کہ پوچھتے آقا سے بچی کو گرایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے غیرت کے سبب جس بی بی نے گھر میں بھی نہ دیکھا آئینہ غیرت کے سبب جس بی بی نے گھر میں بھی نہ دیکھا آئینہ بے پردہ اسے لانے کے لیے بے پردہ اسے لانے کے لیے دربار سجایا جاتا ہے عابد جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے بی بی کو قریب لاش جری دروں کی اذیت دیتے ہیں بی بی کو قریب لاش جری دروں کی اذیت دیتے ہیں عباس کو تڑپانے کے لیے عباس کو تڑپانے کے لیے زینب کو ستایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے عابد کو جہاں غش آتا ہے دروں سے جگایا جاتا ہے یا حسین
صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين السلام على أخي الحسين أبي الفضل العباس وأخته الحوراء زينب السلام على 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته